It it really starts with having a clear understanding of what we were doing so that they could communicate in really a loud environment. They took great pride in being on the same page and coming off the ball. And again, being able to find things that our coaches have done a great job of finding things that fit us and what they can do well. And obviously what works and from a backfield standpoint for our running backs and putting it together. And I can't say enough about how hard the O-line has obviously been working and what that meant to be able to run the ball the way we did through the course of the game and in some critical situations, and to earn a first down at the end of the game there to seal the game with some downhill, power run game. So we obviously have got to build. We're not where we want to be still. The guys are excited to continue to build off of what we were able to do well and fix the things that we still did not do well. From the standpoint of the defensive line, we played with a better mentality at the line of scrimmage and did a much better job keeping our hips square and handling the lateral outside zone that we were seeing. We will obviously have a tremendous challenge this week and see about every run scheme there is known to man. So we've got to obviously continue to build, and it starts with our preparation, having a great understanding and building the confidence and the mentality at the line of scrimmage to be able to handle all the different things we're going to get.
Specifically looking at the defensive line and the guys that are going to be in the box this week, what are the biggest differences going from what you saw against BYU versus what you're going to see against Air Force?
Well, I mean, there's BYU is an outside zone team that is trademarked how fast they stretch the front and get going there. Air Force, yes, they're a triple option team, but they will run zone as well. They've even brought back old school trap that they run really well. They'll run the outside schemes aside from the perimeter triple option plays like the toss plays. And really what comes off of that too is having the discipline within the eye control to fit the run game, but also fit the pass game. Last week against Wyoming, they hit some explosive pass plays in some critical situations.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Andy, we've seen some changes to the depth chart today. Is there anything you can update us on some of the healthier team? And even going back a couple of weeks ago, I don't think we ever asked you about Kelemete putting on social media that he was maybe medically retiring. Can you just kind of update us on the health of the team?
Yeah. So, Isa had continuing issues with the shoulder that he had to get fixed. And unfortunately it was time for him. He's not able to play anymore, given the condition of his shoulder. He battled and tried to rehab and get it. But it wouldn't sustain. So he had to get that fixed. Visser is also going to have to medically retire due to a continuing injury within his shoulder. And then Markel Reed sustained an injury during last week that is going to have him done for the season.
You mentioned a couple of times about the reestablishing the foundation, and you said a couple of weeks ago, what it means to be a Bronco. I mean, what was missing from your eyes, or why has that been such a big talking point for you these last couple of weeks?
From how we prepare, how we get ourselves ready, the time we put in on our own to get ourselves ready for meetings, the way we get ourselves ready to practice, reestablishing the fact that we work here every single day. And that's the way it's been. That's the way this place was built. And the players recognize that too, that we weren't consistent and unbelievable. And we obviously, it was an unbelievable deal by them to be able to say that, there's things that we got to do a better job of, and it's all controllable. And obviously for us as coaches as well, and all of us coming together to do a much better job. Last week was by far our best week in terms of our preparation and having things ready for the guys and making sure it was clear, concise, and simple so that we can play with a certain mentality. And then the guys practicing with a certain urgency. It was different. And that's what we need to continue to build on. We've got to be able to earn the right to go out and play our best on game day. And last week we did that. And we've got to continue to build on that as we move forward.
Thanks, Andy.
Andy, you've talked about consistency Monday through Friday, and it seems like that's what makes a difference with this football team. It seemed like it worked against Utah State. It seemed like it worked last week. How much are you continuing to preach the consistency Monday through Friday, and how do you be more consistent at that?
Well, it starts with number one, making a decision that we're going to work every day, Mike, just like we talked about, where it's not just going to happen. We got to earn the right to be our best. And it starts every rep, every day at practice. And even before we go to practice, it's about, being present in meetings and winning the meetings and getting back to having a blueprint of a high football intelligence with work ethic that is second to none.
Khalil Shakir, I don't know if everybody else has kind of chimed in on his performance and what he means to this football team. The spectacular catches are nice. Maybe talk about that a little bit, but beyond that, just what does he mean to this football team based on his actions, based on everything he does?
He's one of the most humble team guys I've ever been around. And he's obviously, like you said, Mike, he's an unbelievable player. He's one of the guys that a few weeks ago stepped up and said, we got to change some stuff the way we're working. And he led the charge in the leadership group, and as well as, obviously with the coaches, he's done an unbelievable job, the way he practices, the way he works. And obviously, that's the way he plays. But aside from that, he's through and through for Boise State. He's the type of guy that, in the past and will go into the present that help make this place what it is.
Thank you, Andy.
Coach, what can you tell us about Alexander Tubner? Personally, when JL went out last week, I expected to see Shea Oladipo in there, but Tubner got in there and had a great game.
How come you expected to see that?
Pardon me?
How come you expected to see that?
Because he's been such a beast, and every other time he stepped on the field. And those safety positions are pretty similar, right? So I assume he can play both.
Yeah, we'll say they are, Ron. We'll get on the board when the season's over, and we'll see why he wasn't able to do it. They're different. They're different sides. But I can't again get into all that. But Shea has done an unbelievable job. Shea plays to the field. Alex Tubner has been, the second string guy at that position. Really, he earned the right all the way back to spring ball and has done an unbelievable job. He not only on defense, just on special teams, right? He hasn't played a ton of defense, but you see him jump in there, and what he does on special teams gives him the confidence to be able to go in there when that situation happened and JL came out, and for him to be able to go in there and play defense. And that's where he gained his confidence. He may have been a little bit nervous when JL got tossed by the look on his face in the huddle as we were in the TV timeout there. But again, phenomenal job, recovered a fumble after that, not only caused the one on the kickoff, but recovered one after that. And that's who he is. We're very fortunate to have him a part of this team, and he stepped up huge the other day.
And after the game on Saturday, you called it your best rushing performance of the season. Looking back on the game, why did you guys have so much success there? And what can you tell us about Habibi Likio's health moving forward?
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how he responds this week. But from the standpoint of what the offensive line, the running backs, and the tight ends did, number one, it started with a clear and concise plan, and those guys being able to execute it, versus a tough front. A big front, and playing with a certain mentality and coming off the ball and taking great pride. This is what we've been working on behind the scenes, and not only on this side of the ball, but both sides of the ball. And we got to continue to build. Obviously, Ron, we're going to have they're one of the best. They are the best rush. Air Force is the best rush offense in the nation, and they do a really good job against the run as well. So we're going to have to continue to grow this week with that.
Thanks, Coach. And I'll definitely take you up on that blackboard talk after the season.
Let's do it.
I'm maybe the worst person to threaten that with. That'd be like Christmas Day for me.
All right, let's do it, man.
Thanks, man.
Jay, you're up.
What up, Andy?
What's up, Jay?
Andy, after the game the other day, you said that you wanted the chance for your players to kind of like taste, what it's like to have such a big victory. When you go back and you look at it, though, Alex Tubner, Noe Kaniho, obviously Andrew Van Buren, Jackson Cravens, the entire offensive line, Caleb Biggers. It's like all these names that aren't necessarily like the household names really all like played like this little part or had a significant moment in the game. So for so many guys on the team to also be a part and, and get to taste that, like how much more impactful and meaningful will it be moving forward?
Well, we just wanted the guys to understand what it felt like to achieve something that they worked so hard for and that they deserved because of how they worked. And you named a few guys in there that at the start of the week, to be honest with you, they weren't playing much in the game. What is their role? They might be a backup on defense. They're playing on special teams, but that's the way this game goes. You never know. And you got to prepare every single week like you're the starter, whether you're the backup or you're the starter. And guys did that last week. And when their time came, they were ready to go and they stepped up for the team. And that's what we wanted everybody to understand and feel. Yes, it is a grind during the week. That's football. That's what everybody's doing. It's college football. The commitment that it takes to do the little extra on your own and getting back to those things. The guys did it last week, and we're going to do that this week again. And we're going to do a really good job preparing because we've got a huge challenge on our hands.
Andy, you got the chance to obviously leave the Mountain West for a couple of years. You didn't really have to deal with the triple option too much at Oregon. So how excited are you that a triple option team is back on your schedule again?
Well, in the Pac-12, the triple option showed up from Chip Kelly one afternoon in Eugene. So I didn't, because of the background we had in this conference, we were able to fend it off, but it is very challenging. And it starts even without the schemes. It starts with the discipline. It is all about the mentality and the eye control you play with, and every man doing his job. And this is a time and place where we need this the most to be able to grow at this and to be able to face this challenge. They are going to be an extremely physical team. It's going to be a downhill run game. It's going to be a lateral run game, and they're going to take shots. And they've proven to do it pretty well this year.
Thanks, Andy.
John Mallard.
Sorry, man, I didn't get the order on that, Craig. My bad. Hey, Coach, do you buy into, one win changing a season or a program? I mean, 20 years, Fresno, you were a part of that. Or is it more of just using a big-time win as like a platform to get other stuff going? What's your philosophy on a program-changing win?
We beat a pretty good team on the road this past week. This is a new week, and we got to grow forward off of what we did last week. We got to do it better this week than we did it last week. That's how I feel about it, and having the guys understand what it looks like to be able to be our best for 4 quarters. That's the importance of being able to go on the road, accomplish our goal, but more importantly, look and have some perspective of why we were able to do that. And we need to do that day in and day out. And that's how we're going to work going forward. And that's what the guys have committed themselves to.
Talk about the league as a whole. Seems like there might be more good teams in the Mountain West, maybe than in years past. What are you seeing, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Mountain West is up and down week in and week out. Already this year, in the non-conference games, the Mountain West has, done damage to the Power Fives. And so that being said, it's an extremely competitive conference that starts with, the coaches and obviously the skill in the conference with the players. And every single week you better be ready to roll. And that's the challenge in it. I think that, this is what we've been looking for. We have an unbelievable challenge here in this conference. And I think there's really, really good teams in this conference. And because of that, again, it requires you to be at your very best every single day.
Thanks, Coach.
Let's go Paul J. and then Will.
Coach, in watching the win over Wyoming by Air Force, they were kind of stagnant, went out to an early 14-0 lead, running the football. then they couldn't run the football anymore. It was tight at halftime. They came out, quarterback started throwing the ball.
He threw the rock. Yeah, he came out chucking that thing, huh?
Yeah, and everybody's going, wait, what's going on here? How do you, I mean, when you're preparing for a triple option and you got this kid who's very accurate, that adds to your problems, right?
Yeah, there's no question. He did a really nice job, and he's obviously got some guys that he can throw to. Came out the first play of the second half, threw the ball. They got into second and long situations, had no problem throwing the ball. And I mean, there were guys that were pretty wide open in doing so, and he put it on them. So the O-line protected him as well. That's the other thing, Paul J, is that the O-line did a nice job of protecting the quarterback in those situations when they don't do a lot of, protection. So again, they may not throw the ball for a ton of yards within a game, but they've been able to do it when they've needed to, and especially to your point in the last game.
Everybody talks about the offense for Air Force. What kind of defense do they have? What kind of problems do they give you on that side?
Well, they've done a nice job of stopping the run this year. They got some D linemen up front that are big guys that are really good players. They're some of the better D linemen in the conference, on this D line that we're about to face. And so they are a physical defense that plays very, very hard. They will mix it up and play some. They played a fair amount of man this year, but we're expecting them to be able to mix that up and play some zones as well. And bring some of the pressures that they've traditionally brought. They've traditionally been a pretty aggressive defense.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Andy, what do you think of Jonas' performance Saturday and all season long for you guys?
Yeah, he did an unbelievable job on Saturday, and so did Connor Riddle, slapping that ball back on the ground for him on that snap that right before the half. Obviously we're not going to make excuses, but it was raining pretty good. That ball was pretty slick, as we all saw. Both teams were having a little bit of problems with that. And one got away a little bit, and Connor Riddle put that thing right back on the spot, and Jonah put it through, which was huge. But he did a really good job. And that starts too with the guys that are protecting up front and improving our field goal block protection or field goal protection.
What did you think of Caleb Bigger's performance on Saturday?
The last couple games he's done a good job. He has all the ability, and he's obviously getting comfortable within the defense in his time here. And so we're really excited about where he's going. He's gave tremendous effort on special teams. He's consistently one of the first guys flying down the field on the coverage teams. And so again, that's where guys that have played really good and gave great effort on special teams, it transitions over into whether it be offense or defense because of the experience they get if they weren't a full-time, a starter on either side of the ball.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, Ron, we'll go to you for your follow-up.
So, Andy, a cool stat that came out of Saturday's game was each of Boise-State's last 4 head coaches have beaten a top 10 team in their first season on the job. What does that say not only about your team to be able to win that game on Saturday, but about this program since history seems to keep repeating itself?
Well, from the standpoint of us and in the present time, we learned a lot about ourselves last week, and not only last week, but what had happened, and our lessons learned from the previous games. And we learned a lot about what we're capable of when we do things a certain way. And so, again, that's the message, and that the team is, we've recommitted to ourselves to doing things a certain way. And if we can do those things day in and day out, then we're going to be able to be our best. And that was, a big win on the road, but it's a new week and we've moved on. We had a practice today where we corrected the things that we needed to from that game, but, especially defensively, there's some different things we're going to see this week. So we had to get moving on and get rolling on the triple option.
But what does that mean to you to join guys like Pete and Harsin and Hawkins to get a big win in your first season?
Well, to be honest with you, for me, it's more about the team, Ron. It's more about the guys and earning that through the week and going on the road and going in a packed house that was loud in an environment of such, and being able to get that done. For me, it's more about the guys and seeing them accomplish something that they've earned. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's really about to me.
Thanks, Coach.
EJ, for your follow-up.
Hey, Coach, Kekala Kaniho is going to set the program record with his 55th game played on Saturday. The COVID year helped a little bit there, but what does he mean to this program and for his brother also to come in and play the way he did the other day? And there was a cool picture of them with their arm around each other, during the game. Well, just to have him get the extra year with his brother and seeing those two guys together out there. What's that like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty special to see. When he went in there and they lined up on both sides of the field, the first couple of plays, I mean, I'll be honest, I couldn't help but look over there too. For Jared and Misty, their parents, I can't imagine what that was like for them as well. It's pretty unique in the situation. He obviously stepped up, had a huge challenge on his hands with those outside wide receivers, but stepped up and battled and made some key plays in some critical situations. And Kala, I mean, again, it would not surprise me if he was a president of the United States someday.
Thanks, Andy.
Jay?
I'd vote for him. Andy, after the BYU win, social media seemed like a pretty fun place to be for once for Bronco Nation. The evolution of just having a crew around you that documents all this. How much do you appreciate that? I mean, the moment in the locker room when everybody's jumping around you and pouring water, like everybody got a chance to see that. And when you were a player, that probably never would have existed, So how cool is it to be able to experience all that stuff? And then also, how well do you know Tyler McFarland? And if you do know him, how talented is he?
I'm sorry, you were cutting out there.
Sorry, keep it short. How cool is it to have a video crew around you that documents everything? And how talented is Tyler McFarland?
Yeah, we're grateful. It gives everybody an insight into the program. I'll be honest with you, Jay, I don't look at social media a whole lot. So what's put on there, but it's cool from the perspective of it gives Bronco Nation an insight, into things like that, certain things from practice, certain things from in and around the facility, obviously game day access, whether it be prior to the game, pre-game, in the game, after the game, the travel, all that stuff. So we're pretty lucky. And we got a talented production crew of young people that are really, really good at what they do and how they put it all together. Dom does an unbelievable job leading all those guys. And we're really, really grateful for how those guys work and the effort they put into it, because that's a lot of work. And you guys know that. I mean, that's, it's what you guys do. So we're extremely grateful for their commitment to putting all that stuff together for Bronco Nation.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah. Mike Prater, last question from you.
Andy, you were talking about how much and how hard the offensive line has been working. Monday through Friday, how do you teach getting more physical? How do you teach an offensive line to be more physical beyond just hard work? And more importantly, how do you sustain that?
Well, I don't think it's just on the field. I think it's how you're training too. I think it's how you take advantage of your opportunities in the weight room. And Coach Kagi and the strength staff, Mike, don't misjudge. We've turned it up, and for obvious reasons. And not only with our, the travel squad, but the developmental squad and the guys behind the scenes. And I think we're starting to see some gains there. And how we train them in the meeting room carries over to how they're going to play on the field. There's a certain mentality that's built even before you get on the field. And when you get on the field, it's about building the confidence through fundamentals and technique that are going to allow you to play physical. And then a whole group coming together and working together and having the consistency to work together and be on the same page is huge. When you got 5 guys working together to move a line of scrimmage, I mean, they've got to get used to playing with each other, and we got to keep growing that.
Thank you.
Andy, appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you.
Thanks, Andy.
Recording stopped.